Hey, what's up everybody? 3D Theory here. Today is December 22nd, 2024 at 7:40 a.m. and this is vlog number 71. As you know, we usually go through the temperature and the humidity level in here. This thing's battery is a goner, so I'm gonna have to switch out the battery today. I gotta buy that today. I'm happy to say we got another sale on Etsy. So I got some printouts going because usually I print about 1 or 5 of the different parts I have at a time. But I figured since I'm getting about a sale a day that I would most likely benefit from printing out multiple. So here are the 3D prints of the plexiglass. Here are the 3D prints of the animation disc. Well, that came off real easy. Okay, these are kind of stuck. And here are the drawer handles. We have one extra one printed out over there because this one is the one we're going to be shipping out today. By the way, all this stuff here you see is available on my Maker World. We got a full-size stealth French side table, even the mini one right there, and all these other cool little knickknacks and toys. And we got green here from Rainbow Friends. So if you guys are interested, all this is available for free on my Maker World, for free download, print, and you just have fun. I do want to talk about the products, or the product on my Etsy shop right now. Actually, I have a couple. There's a variation of the traditional animation desk, a couple of them that I added on there that I decided to take off. And I'll explain why after I have a nice sip of good old morning brew. Nothing like a nice, warm cup of coffee. All right, guys, so what I usually sell on my Etsy shop is this traditional animation desk pen cup, although this one's not put together yet. This one just had finished printing out. And mind you, this is the new brown color filament that I'm using. Here's the old one, and it's pretty close. Honestly, I'm really pleased. I didn't know if this brown color would look much like the brown color I was sourcing from, because this brown color is out of stock. I got it on Amazon from an Amazon shop, but they ran out of stock and doesn't look like they're going to refill their stock. And I found another company that has an affordable price. It's on sale right now, so I bought a lot. I bought maybe like 6 to 8 rolls. I say a lot, but that's relative. But I think the brown color is looking really nice. So that's what I usually sell, and that's what's selling about 1 a day. And so I put 2 different variations of it, which is just, I call it the collector's version, because it's just the traditional animation desk itself for collectors who just want to have a nice little art piece in their animation collection. And so I took this off the Etsy shop, as well as this version, which is a phone holder. Here's like a makeshift phone, and you just put your phone there. And this one doesn't have that because it's not true to the size of the desk. I just kind of extended that lip area where the animators would put their pencils, and it became a little phone holder. However, when I put these up, I didn't get sales for a couple of days. And I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Do you think adding variations would confuse people or kind of put someone in a state where they don't know which one to get? Because I feel like that's what happened. I feel like after putting these variations, people just got confused as to which one they want to get. And so I ended up taking these off the listing, and they're not available anymore. And as soon as I put this back on, that same day I got a sale. So I don't know what it is. Maybe I should just create a separate listing for those other 2 variations. So because of that, I decided to just put this one back on, and it's sold. It's a cool little piece. It's fun for people who are into animation. It's fun for animators, artists, anyone really. It's a pen cup, and it has a real cool nod to traditional animation. And if you guys have been to Disney's California Adventure, they got some of these traditional desks. I actually have a video that I forgot to put in the last video, and I'll put in right here actually. All right, guys, we're back at Disney California Adventure, and here's the animation desk that we just recently created. I thought it was at Disneyland, but apparently it was at Disney's California Adventure. Super cool. Get to see it now up close after having 3D modeled it. We got some cool characters up there, Balloon, whatnot, Mowgli. And yeah, this is really, really cool to see it in person. It's really large, really, really large. Here's a gentleman who's actually sketching on one of these. And you guys can see how it rotates, so it's easy to draw in any sort of direction. And you can see how big the table is. So as you can see there, the guy who was working at the table just spins this around as they work. There's usually animation pegs here, but it would be really hard to put such a small detail on a print like this. But there's usually animation pegs there. They attach their paper. I actually have some animation paper I can show you guys. I used to do some traditional and very basic in-between animations. When the Animation Guild was doing courses, they had a course called Traditional and Basic Animation. And I took the Traditional and Basic Animation course there, and the teacher actually showed us a real desk. That was the first time I had ever seen it before. And he had a animation peg hole punch. So I hole punched a bunch of paper, which I still have laying around somewhere. Maybe I could show you my setup later on. But I love animation. I love the traditional stuff. I love the 3D stuff. Really great medium for storytelling. Yeah, so as you saw in that video from California Adventure, this is their desk. It was designed by Ken Weber back in the day. And you have that with a big old area for your pens, pencils, tools, really whatever you'd like to put in there. And people seem to be liking it. When this was first put up, I wasn't getting a whole lot of sales. And so I decided to put a $2 ad spend on Etsy for Etsy ads. And that's where I started to see people putting it up in their carts, people favoriting it, and then later on, people started to buy it. So those Etsy ads seem to be working. And maybe these YouTube videos are also helping with that, because I do talk about it and people do see it, and this gets a little exposure this way. And I should probably start doing some YouTube shorts so people can see it. I'm going through kind of a lesson phase on marketing. Marketing is so important. Marketing is just a fancy word, guys, of getting this product in front of people's eyes. Because if people don't know this exists, and let's say you have an Etsy shop and you got some products going on, if they don't know your product exists, how are they going to get it? You know? So that's kind of what I've been doing, focusing on the marketing aspect of it and just doing one product. I say one product. I have these here, printed out in full color. This is the elf hat with legs, as well as the Santa hat with legs. And these guys stand, which took a while to figure out, but lo and behold, I did figure out. And by the way, I forgot to mention that I also added this elf hat with legs on my Maker World, so you guys can find this along with the Santa hat with legs. However, the one on the Maker World doesn't stand. And I'll be completely honest, these and this are the same model, except this is printed out in PLA. And it should be able to stand. Oh, what do you know? It stands. But I was having a hard time making it stand. So I kind of talked about it in my last video as not standing. But there you have it. It stands. And if you guys wanted to make this on your own, you totally can. You just, print it out on your AMS and you make the right colors. It just uses a lot of filament. And I do recommend that the inside right there on the wall, in between this little cylinder and the outer white part, I recommend making that white so you don't get weird artifacts that appear on the outside of the hat there. So if you guys do want to do that on your own, you're welcome to do it. This is printed out in PETG. This is printed out in PLA. Well, I went on a tangent there, but yeah, just wanted to mention what's been going on with this. Oh, and I do also want to mention that there's a section for tags, and the entire time I had it up while I wasn't getting sales, I think I got like one sale when this happened. But what had happened was I put all the tags in the materials section. I didn't realize that's what I had done. So what I did when I realized it, I moved all the tags down into the tag section of my Etsy listing. And I also put the material that it was printed with, this is PETG, everything on this traditional animation desk pen cup is PETG. I put that on there, but I also put some extra tags in the materials because after doing a little research, I found out that if you put tags for SEO in the materials as well, that also helps with search engine optimization. So that was a nice little tip that I had figured out and possibly could be contributing to the one sale a day I'm getting. So if you guys are interested in picking up one of these, the link's in the description below, along with my Make World link. So go ahead and check that out if you want to get one, or maybe a gift for someone who's into this sort of thing. You guys may have seen this little flyer wheel. These are coming standard with the SD card with the Bambu Lab machines, at least with the A1s. And I got a big old family reunion coming up for New Year, and I was just going to print out a bunch of these with the remaining multicolor silk filament that I have, this PLA. I've had this for maybe like a year and a half, 2 years now. So I'm just gonna get rid of that, print out as many as I possibly can, and just pass them out at that family reunion. They're really fun for anybody, really. It's really fun to just kind of, pull this and see this thing go flying. So if you guys have this, I do recommend it. It's really fun. I won't be boxing this up today. If you guys are interested in seeing how I package my product for Etsy, check out vlog 70, which is the video right before this one. You can see how I package it up and ship it out to the customers. What I'm doing now, since I'm getting pretty consistent sales one a day, is I'm printing these out just to have inventory. So as soon as I open up the filament here, I just go ahead and I print out as many as I can with one spool and just hold an inventory. I think I could probably get about 5 of these out of one spool. So I think having an inventory of 5 is pretty decent. And I'll just have all the extra pieces that I need to build it out, which you can also see in my previous video, ready to go. So when someone does order, I can just make it to order and get it packaged up and shipped out. All right, guys, I got some updates for you on the spring-loaded Pillbox, and I went ahead and adjusted the models. What I did was, as you remember from the previous iteration, the hinge was about 1/4 of the way into this section here. And so I brought this back. This is an old version. So I brought it back so that it's all the way back here, this hinge. And I printed them out in different orientations to see which one would be the best version. And so we got version 0 over here. And I had printed this out on its back with this lid closed. And as you can see, it didn't really perform so well. The quality of this was just terrible. So this version 0, I decided to do away with. Then we got version 1, which was the best version that I printed out with, which had it open about yay big, and it was flat on the build plate like this. And this actually was the one that I ended up going with. And it printed out really well, as good as it can be. My goal with this was to be a print in place, so I didn't have to assemble the lids. And it did work, and the print quality was okay. It wasn't the best it could possibly be. There's some dirtiness back here, but overall, it was the best functioning version. So I ended up going with this. But I want to show you some of the other stuff I worked on. This one I had printed out on its side right here, as you can tell with this texture, and the lid was open, but I couldn't get it to close. So this didn't work. This was version 3. This one I printed out like that, and I think the lid was open and it didn't work out as well. Just tried different orientations of the print. And this one I printed out on the side again with the lid closed, and all of the ones with the lid closed, they just fused together. So none of these worked out except for number 1, and so that's what I ended up going with. This one actually worked out pretty well. However, I did notice that the supports that printed out on this thing were kind of wacky. There were supposed to be supports, and when I came, one of the supports were on the floor, but it still worked. So here's the spring-loaded Pillbox. The first thing I noticed was that this thing was way too big. I don't know what happened to scale. I have a scan of my hand that I put in there, and now I'm thinking that the scan of my hand is a little off in terms of scale, but it's supposed to be correct with the software that I'm using. But here it is. It's supposed to be spring-loaded, and I don't think this spring method's gonna work. I may just create a 3D printed spring, but all these are functioning as they should. But much like what I did with this first one, the supports, for some reason, were wacky. I came back, some supports were on the floor, some didn't do so hot, and as you could tell there, wherever the supports had not done its job and fallen off the model, it was really ugly. But nonetheless, they all do, more or less, click into place. But after finding that out, I think I'm probably not going to be able to do this in print in place, especially because it's a rounded model, and I just don't like all the problems that the supports are creating. So this thing is pretty big, and I honestly was not expecting it to be this big. And like I have mentioned in previous videos, prototyping is essential. You just don't know until you actually give your first prototype a shot. And I had sanded this down really hard because as it goes in, it can't go in any further. So I tried just sanding it down to increase the tolerances, but no, that's not gonna work. So I'm just gonna have to increase the tolerance on a 3D model. But what I did was, here's the little mechanism that you can press, and when it's closed, when this thing is engaged with this little back part here, and as you can see there's a spring right there, when you click it, there's a little hole in there. Hopefully you can see that hole, and when you click it into place, it's kind of blurry back there, but when you click this, it engages with this piece and it shoots open. At least that's what it's supposed to do in theory. And I printed this out separately so it can be easy to assemble. Here's that little piece there. And when it shoots open, it's supposed to come out to about there. And you can also open this. And I created the trigger with a little dowel in there. Let me actually undo this here. This screw got stripped, so here's a little piece that I created that holds that dowel into place, and it just has a screw. And there's some issues here. I got to figure out a way so that the trigger doesn't come out like that. So I got to create like a little stopper, as well as I got to create a stopper here and extend this part out a little bit. I put a little sphere there so that when it engages with there, it shouldn't come out, but it does come out. Especially if it somehow gets pushed up, it does just come right out. So I got to definitely work on fixing this up, but it's a pretty simple little design over here, and it's way too big. I actually want this thing to be about yay big. I'm thinking at most to be about the size of the Sharpie, because that's perfect size there. But that does mean that the amount of space in these compartments is going to decrease. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys have any ideas as you're watching this, would love to hear your thoughts on it. But just wanted to give all of you who have been waiting on the spring-loaded Pillbox an update. And I still got a lot of work to do on this thing. This is way too large for my liking. I decided not to add that little side piece going on for now. I might later, but it's just adding complexity. In the meantime, I just want to figure out the mechanics of this before I get into the aesthetics. So I kind of just, I'm holding that off until I figure out how to make this thing work real smooth like, and go from there. And, you know, after having made some products for 3D printing, I do want to start applying principle to my designs. And what does that mean? That means that there's some really good rules of thumb to kind of keep in mind as you're creating and designing products for 3D printing. I want to simplify my designing process. I really love hard surface organic shapes, but I do want to get into more simplified designs that function really well. And that's not to say this won't function really well, but it's providing a lot of design challenges, especially because it's got little handles on the side here, and I have to account for all of that. And as you can see, there's a little bored out section down at the bottom there. And that's for this piece to be able to go back and forth, engage and disengage when it needs to. So in the future, I'll probably be getting into stuff like that. In the meantime, I gotta go get another one of these batteries for this temperature gauge and humidity gauge. So gotta take care of that. Gotta box up that shipment there. And that about wraps it up for today's vlog, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. By the way, I got a little shoe rack that was being thrown out. And I just decided to bring it in here. I thought it'd be good for filament storage. But nonetheless, guys, thank you so much for joining me on today's vlog in the tiny 3D print farm of 5 Bambu Lab A1 3D printers. Until next time, peace, love, and joy.